You mortgaged the house! My voice cracked as I stared at the papers clutched in my trembling hands. Mark, tell me this isn't real. He didn't respond. Instead, he sat slouched on the couch, head in hands. Like a child caught doing something terrible. The silence dragged on, each second heavier than the last. I gripped the documents tighter, my vision swimming as the words swirled on the page line holder. First, capital mortgage outstanding balance $200. 0. My name is Karen Bennett. I'm 42, a nurse and a mom to 2 wonderful kids, Mia and Dylan, 10 and 13, most of my life. I've been the steady one, the anchor, the one others leaned on my mornings, begin before sunrise, juggling school runs, 12-hour hospital shifts, and the endless tudos of family life, Mark. And I have been married for 15 years, and while it hasn't always been smooth, I believed we were in it together, not perfect, but grounded in trust, or so I thought. I managed the daily bills while Mark oversaw the big picture items like taxes and insurance. I never questioned it, never imagined he'd hide something this huge from me until now. It all unraveled when I found a letter buried in a pile of unopened mail. I'd been cleaning the kitchen, post-dinner griping to myself about how Mark always let paperwork stack up. I nearly tossed it, thinking it was junk, but something about the envelope made me pause. The First Capital Mortgage logo embossed on the corner made my stomach twist. I tore. It opened the woods, struck like a gut punch. Our home, the one we scraped to buy, the place where our kids had grown, was now collateral for a loan I never knew existed at first. I hoped it was a mix-up. Mark would never do this, but as I pored over the letter, dread settled deep. This wasn't a mistake. He had done it and kept it from me. By the time I confronted him, my head swirled with questions. How could he hide this? How could he risk our home, our kids' stability? Mark barely glanced at me as I thrust the papers at him, demanding answers. It's not. What'd you think? He mumbled, finally, voice low. Then tell me, I snapped, because from where I stand, it looks like you mortgaged our house behind my back. Do you even get what that means, Mark? Do you even Carrie exhaled, long and shaky, and looked up. I didn't have a choice, Karen. I was in a tight spot. I froze a tight spot? What kind of tight spot justifies this? He hesitated, and in that pause, everything clicked. The late nights. The constant excuses for missing Mia's games or Dylan's plays, it all fell into place. My voice dropped. It's the gambling, isn't it? Mark Silonza was all the answer. I need it. We'd been here before, back when Dylan was a baby. Mark lost part of his paycheck betting on college games. And I found out when our credit card bill came in high, he swore it was a one-time thing, said it would never happen again. And I believed him, because when you love someone, you believe even when you shouldn't. But this wasn't a credit card. This was our house, our life. How much? I asked, voice like ice. Karen, how much, Mark? $100. 0, he said, eyes fixed on the floor. I thought I could repay it before things got this far. I just needed time. $100,000. It felt like the air was sucked from the room. How could you? I whispered, tears stinging. How could you risk everything? The kids. What about Mia and Dylan? If we lose the house? He reached for me. I stepped back, shaking my head. I never meant for it to go this far. He said, I swear, I'll fix it. But I didn't believe him. Not now. That night, I lay awake long after Mark passed out. On the couch, my mind spinning, emotions tangled in fear, rage, and heartbreak. I thought about our kids, about how I'd need to shield them from this while trying to keep life together. I thought about the trust I gave Mark, the faith that led to this. By dawn, I knew I couldn't wait for him to fix it. I had to take the reins for my kids and myself. The days after the mortgage revelation felt like sleepwalking. Mark and I barely spoke, only exchanging clipped words about chores and the kids. Every glance at him made my chest twist with betrayal. How could the man I trusted gamble our future? Thankfully, the kids hadn't noticed yet. Dylan was deep into his science project and Mia busy training for her soccer tournament, but the cracks were forming. Mark had always been the fun parent, staying up late with Dylan or letting Mia paint his nails. Lately, he'd been distant, and I could see confusion creeping into their eyes. One night after the kids were asleep, I broke the silence. We can't go on like this, Mark, I said, voice low but steady. The mortgage, the gambling, the debt, it's too much. You need help. He rubbed his face side. I told you, Karen, I'm handling it. No, I snapped, slamming the dish towel on the counter. You're not. You've been saying that for months, and look at us. If you were handling it, we wouldn't be on the verge of losing our home. His face twisted with frustration. What do you want me to do? Quit my job? Sell my car? I'm doing my best. Your best isn't enough. I shot back, my voice quivering. Do you even grasp what you've done? This isn't just about you, it's all of us, me. The kids, do you even care? That struck a nerve. He clenched his jaw, fists tight, but said nothing and walked away, leaving me in silence. The next day, I called Sarah. She didn't hesitate. Come over, she said firmly. Her apartment was the opposite of my chaos, calm, neat, quiet. She handed me tea as I sank into her couch, feeling days of stress crushed down. Okay, she said, settling across from me. Tell me everything. I told her it all, the debt, the gambling, the confrontation. By the end, my tea was cold, and Sarah looked at me, a mix of shock and anger. That idiot, she muttered, shaking her head. Karen, you can't let him drag you down. Protect yourself and the kids. How, I asked, voice cracking. I don't even know where to begin. I feel like I'm drowning. She leaned in, face soft. First, get a lawyer, someone who knows how to help. I know a woman, Jennifer Morales. She's great. I'll give you her number. Meeting Jennifer was a turning point. Her office was warm, diplomas on the walls, soft lavender in the air. She listened patiently, nodding as I explained everything. And you're not the first, she said when I finished, and you won't be the last. The good news is we can take steps to protect you and the kids. Like what? I asked, clinging to my bag. First, we separate your finances from his, open your own account, redirect your paychecks, and create a new budget without his income. We'll also review the mortgage, see if we can renegotiate or delay foreclosure. Her words were practical, steady, exactly what I needed for the first time in days. I felt a flicker of hope at home. I began making changes. I opened a new account, rerouted my direct deposit so Mark couldn't touch my money. I sifted through our bills, highlighting ones I could cover, and arranged payment plans for others. Not perfect, but a start. Meanwhile, Mark kept insisting he could fix it, that I was overreacting, but I wasn't listening anymore. I'd been the fixer, the one who smoothed things over, not. This time, one evening, after another tense silence, he looked at me and said, "You're really going to do this? You're cutting me out." "I'm not cutting you out, Mark," I said calmly. "I'm protecting myself and our kids until you get help and own what you've done. I can't count on you. I won't." Despite everything, I still had doubts sometimes. I'd look at old photos from when things were good and wonder if I was overreacting. What if he could fix it? What if this was just a rough patch and I was giving up too early? But then I'd remember the mortgage, the debts, and Mia asking why. Dad seemed so sad all the time. This wasn't just about me, it was about them too. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. I was in Jennifer's office reviewing the mortgage again when my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "We need to talk. I can fix this, but stop what you're doing with the lawyer. You're making things worse." My chest tightened with the familiar mix of anger and weariness. Worse? He gambled our future away, and now I was the problem. My hands trembled as I placed the phone face down. "He's manipulating you," Jennifer said calmly, sharp eyes locked on me. "Don't let him. We're close to a resolution." The word sounded simple, but the road to get here had been anything but. Jennifer discovered Mark had taken out 2 more loans against the house without telling me, both with interest rates totaling over $240. Zero. The scale of it made me nauseous, but Jennifer assured me there was a path. "We have 2 options," she explained. "We can try to restructure the loans, but that depends on Mark's cooperation, risky. Or you can fight for sole control, which might mean selling the house and starting fresh." The thought of selling crushed me. This was the kids' home, but staying tied to Mark's disaster was worse. A week later, we were across from each other in a sterile mediation room, the air thick with resentment. Jennifer was calm by my side. Mark had brought a lawyer, slick and smirking. "This doesn't have to get ugly," Mark said, leaning in. "We can work it out. If you just stop trying to tear everything apart." "Tear everything apart," I echoed, disbelief shaking My voice, you did this, Mark. You lied, gambled our money, mortgaged the house without a word, and now you want me to act like it's nothing. I made a mistake, he argued. I can fix it. If we just know I cut him off, you can't fix this. Not this time. I cleaned up your messes for too long. I'm done. His lawyer cleared his throat. We believe Mr. Bennett has a right to stay on the mortgage and that his contributions. Jennifer interrupted sharp and clear. Let's be clear. His actions caused this. My client has proof he acted without her consent, broke joint financial agreements, and endangered their children's home, if we're talking rights. My client has the right to protect her family from more harm, the lawyer faltered. Mark looked furious. This is insane, he muttered. You're blowing it out of proportion. I met his eyes, forced myself to stay firm. No, Mark, what's insane is what you've done to our family, the lies, the risk, the denial, but I'm not letting you drag me down anymore. I'm taking control. The mediator tried to steer things back to practical solutions in the end. One decision remained: the house. Mark wanted to keep it for the kids, he claimed, but I knew better. It was about control, and I wouldn't let him keep it. I'm willing to sell the house, I said, finally, my voice even despite the lump in my throat. It's the only way forward. Mark stared, stunned. You're seriously selling the house, their home, after everything? Yes, I said quietly, because what matters isn't the house, it's their future, and I won't let you risk that again. The rest passed in a blur of paperwork and legal terms, but stepping out of that office, I felt lighter for the first time in years. I wasn't cleaning up after Mark. I was creating a life that didn't rely on him. It wasn't glamorous. There were no grand celebrations, but it was mine. I secured sole financial control, sold the house, paid the debts, and set up a trust for the kids. It wasn't the ending I once dreamed of, but it was a new beginning, and I was grateful. Our first night in the new apartment was bittersweet. The rooms were smaller but cozy, boxers everywhere, making it feel temporary. I sat with a cup of tea, looking at the city lights. It wasn't home yet, but it was a start. Relief washed over me, knowing the debt was behind us, though exhaustion lingered. Weeks of legal battles and hard choices had left their mark. My heart still ached. Letting go of the house where we built memories was hard, but I reminded myself walls don't define a family. Love and stability do. Mark called the next morning, his number like a ghost from the past. I wanted to ignore it, but knew I couldn't. Karen, he said, voice unusually soft. Just wanted to check on you and the kids. We're fine, I replied evenly, settling in. He paused. I know I messed up. I've been thinking, and I want to make it right. I want us to try again. His words felt like a punch for a moment. I felt that old tug the fixer in me, wanting to believe, wanting to patch things up. But I thought about the lies, the debt, the chaos, the strength it took to move forward. I can't, Mark, one said steady. Not this time, Karen, please. I can then change, I said, but I'm not waiting for you. I ended the call, hand trembling. But sure, it wasn't easy, but it was right. His words didn't control me anymore. I wasn't his fixer. I was my own woman that night. As I tucked Mia and Dylan into bed, gratitude overwhelmed me. The apartment wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Mia had taped a rainbow drawing to the wall. Dylan had arranged his bookshelf. They were adjusting, and so was I, sitting on the couch. I reflected on everything we'd faced, the fear, the rage, the doubt. It was crushing. But I'd survived. I fought for them and for myself, and I'd won. I wasn't the same woman who found those mortgage papers. That Karen had been terrified, unsure. This Karen was stronger, confident, unafraid to claim what she deserved. It wasn't an easy road, but it was worth it. Closing my eyes that night, peace finally found me. This wasn't just a new chapter, it was a brand new story, and I couldn't wait to see where it would go. Months later, life looked completely different and better. The chaos Mark created no longer ran my life. Our apartment became home, full of laughter and memories. Mia painted a mural of handprints. Dylan took up baking proudly, offering cookies after school. We were still settling in, but our days felt lighter. Work was thriving too. I joined a nurse advocacy committee and took a certification course. I used to avoid leadership roles, happy to blend in, but something shifted. I started speaking up, pushing for changes. My manager even hinted at a promotion. Once unthinkable, now it felt natural, but the biggest change was how I saw myself. I used to measure my worth by how much I could fix for others, how well I held things together. Mark's betrayal showed me that I couldn't always be the fixer. Sometimes the best thing I could do was protect us, even if that meant letting go of what I thought we needed. I wasn't afraid of boundaries anymore. When Mark called again asking to see the kids, I told him we need a structure. I'm happy to work with you. I said, but only if it's consistent and good for the kids. The old me might have wavered, this me didn't. His annoyed fine was a victory won. Saturday morning, Sarah showed up with muffins and coffee, her celebration to the new Karen, she said, raising her mug. Look at you living your best life. I laughed, shaking my head. It doesn't feel like the best yet, but it feels right, peaceful. That's because you're finally putting yourself first, she said. About time, I smiled, letting her words sink in. It was time. For years, I disappeared into everyone else's needs. Now, I was learning to listen to myself, to ask for what I wanted and believe I deserved good things, not just for the kids, but for me. That night on the balcony, wine in hand, watch the sun sink below the skyline, I let myself feel it. Pride in the battles I fought and the ones I walked away from. Pride in the life I was building. Not perfect, not what I expected, but honest, real, and mine. The road ahead still had challenges, but I was ready. This was my life reclaimed, and it was only just beginning.